image here from Lahaina. You can see this is a road here that has been closed off previously, and it is now back open as many vehicles are trying to make their way back there. And in the meantime, the search and rescue efforts continue. Well, we've talked a lot about the conditions there on the grounds with reporters who are there live on the scene. We've also been talking a lot about the different resources and aid that are coming to people who have been displaced, who have lost everything. We also, though, want to talk about the animals in this who are also, of course, being impacted in this tragic situation. And joining us live now is Katie Shannon with the Maui Humane Society. Katie, thanks so much for being here. Tell us about how things have been since this news came down, since the wildfires first started.
Aloha, Lexi. Thank you so much for having me. It has been devastating here on Maui. And actually, I literally just stepped out of a meeting with a search and rescue team, Veterinary Without Borders, local Hawaiian volunteers, surgeons, and animal rescue that are all joined together to help us. We have just been notified that they are opening the road to allow supplies and people in to Lahaina, as you can see, that we just saw from the live feed. And so we are eager to help out as much as we can and find any animals that that are alive or that can be reunified with their owners.
So since this all started, if you could shed some perspective to viewers of what this has been like. Have you found animals on the streets? Have people been turning them in? Have you heard from families who don't know where their animals or pets may have gone?
It is such a tricky situation because the fires are still burning and they are now a bit more under control or contained, which is great. But cell service in Lahaina on the west side, where the majority of the destruction has been, there's limited service and communication. So many people are still without cell service. Power outages have been out throughout the island. And so we've really had a hard time being able to communicate. Now we know that the radios are available to the west side, but we are still working to communicate to the west side in Lahaina. And so what we are aiming to do is to ensure that if somebody has lost a pet, the first thing that they do is file a lost report. And so that will help us to reunite any animals that are brought to us. And hopefully, if they have a microchip, we can scan that and find that information easily. But a filed lost report will help us reunify animal and person as soon as possible.
Yeah, and Katie, I want to pull up some video here. I believe this was at the Maui Humane Society of one dog that turned up. Can you tell us a little bit more about what we're seeing here and what your staff has been able to do during this difficult time?
Yeah, absolutely. This was such a beautiful pup who arrived. She was rescued by a Lahaina firefighter who was then who gave her to emergency personnel who were the only people allowed over at Lahaina at the time. And she drove over to Maui Humane Society to drop off this animal. This is really going to take an island to rebuild this community. She had scorched paws. You can see here in the video that she doesn't have any nails. They have been completely burned. She had blisters all over her body. We can see our humane enforcement volunteers and animal care team transferring her from the medical car into our veterinary office or hospital. And then our veterinary team got to work to give her pain medication and to address the burns that she was suffering from. She is in stable condition, but we have not yet reunited the owner with her yet. And we hope that the owner is alive and well, and hopefully we can do that very soon.
Oh, these videos and images that are coming in are just so heartbreaking. And Katie, I know the main question on everyone's minds right now is how can we help? I know that there's been a different video, I can pull that up as well, from different cities of people trying to send in different supplies. What is most needed for these animals right now? How can they help take a load off of you guys and the work that you're doing and assist from far away?
So there are two main ways that people can help. One is monetary donations. And the reason why monetary donations are so important is because we have not been able to fully assess the situation yet. We do not know, because the road is now just opening, what the circumstances really are. And so we therefore don't know what we are going to need in the future. We have asked for supplies to be sent, but we are actually asking the community to hold off on that, simply because we have a very tiny post office, and we want to make sure that we don't create any bottlenecks or any issues in that sense. But we've had hundreds of volunteers come and just start to package emergency kits that we can distribute to the local shelters that have displaced people, which is phenomenal. The other way that people can help is by joining our Facebook group that is connecting people who need help to people who can offer help. And so this might be for whether it's monetary donations, whether it's allowing people to, arrive off of island with their animals. There's so many different ways. But what we are trying to do is to connect the community together, because we know that we have limited resources here at Maui Humane Society, and we want to help animals be reunited with their owners as soon as possible. But we know that people have lost absolutely everything. So if you go to mauihumanesociety.org, we have all of this information right there on our website.
Okay, that's very good to know, Katie. And again, we really appreciate you joining us here, because there is such urgency in people who are wanting to help. And I think that's one bit of a bright light in a tragedy like this, is just seeing the ways that everyone bands together and really wants to assist the people, the families that are impacted, also the animals, though, as well. Is there anything else that you would like to add here? I think everyone has just, seen these pictures and videos that have been circulating, hearing from families. I've been talking with a couple who lost 2 of their pets inside of their home that was also lost through the fire. Anything else that you would like to add here?
I just want to let everyone know, not only do we appreciate everyone donating and helping as much as possible, but the information is unfolding every hour. We are getting new information, and so we are trying to communicate as much as we can. But please know that we are doing everything that we can to help our community, and just please bear with us, and please stay up with us on social media, because that is the way that we are sharing our information right now. The donations mean the world to us, our community, and we will help every animal that we can, from pets to livestock. And we're here to help, and we are ready to undergo what we're about to see.
Katie, I guess I do have one last question. Thinking back to that video that we just showed viewers of the one dog that showed up with burns that your staff was assisting, we've seen how crowded shelters have been during the pandemic, the impact that's had, and also the impact it's had on people's jobs, on veterinary assistants, on vets in general, on people who are working in shelters at the Humane Society in different cities and elsewhere. How are you seeing this impact your staff? Are you having to have people work longer hours or shifts?
Yes, we've been working around the clock ever since the fires have broken out. We actually didn't know if we needed to evacuate due to where the fires have been. And so the first few hours of the fires breaking out, we assembled kennels to prepare our own animals to be evacuated from the shelter. We gratefully, thankfully, did not need to evacuate. But what we did need to do is ask the community to take the animals that we do have here to make space for animals that will be coming through, because we are going to be inundated. Honestly, hopefully are inundated, because the worst case scenario is that there are less lives alive than we hope. So our community has stepped up, and so many of our animals that are still in our care but are in foster homes right now, which is, makes space for the animals, which is phenomenal. We know that the work is really going to start within these next few hours, and it's a scary time.
It is. And, Katie, we'll continue to check in with you guys there at the Maui Humane Society as well, and touch base with you as we do learn more in the coming hours and coming days to see how people can be of assistance. Thanks so much for joining us here.
Aloha. Mahalo.